Hello my dear students, this is Form 5 English Language 3rd Midterm. Lesson The Bright Lights of Sarajevo. Welcome to the lesson, dear students. In this video, I am going to discuss the poem about The Bright Lights of Sarajevo by Tony Harrison. SOW reference page numbers are 241 to 248. My dear students, now we are going to learn the poem The Bright Lights of Sarajevo by Tony Harrison. In this poem, we will consider what are the key language devices used in this poem, and I will analyze the poem to you all. Then you can understand what type of a poem it is. My dear students, in this slide, I have given you a brief description about the poet, Tony Harrison. After that, I have given you a brief description about the poem. In that part, can you see I have highlighted the word lights. That means, in this poem, the only light is love. And I have highlighted the word Sarajevo. That means, this poem is about the Sarajevo city and the hardships of life in the civilians of this city. In this slide, I'm going to talk with you all about the writer, because Tony Harrison is a moving wartime poet that speaks on the various lights of the city and the struggle the Sarajevians had to endure. The poem begins with the speaker addressing the hardships of life in Sarajevo. After that, I'm going to talk with you all about the Bosnian War, which had happened, and about the setting of the poem. We have to consider what type of the setting is used in this poem. As you all know, the war is brutal. Therefore, we have to know some details about this war happened in Sarajevo city. My dear students, now take out your textbooks and turn to page number 242, and please refer the pages 242 and 243 and try to understand both information and language used in it. Here I have given you all a summary of the poem The Bright Lights of Sarajevo. Can you see the example? First one, queuing with empty canisters of gas. And the third line, or queuing for the precious meager grams. It conveys the hardships of life in Sarajevo people. They have to wait in line for have gas and bread. Although somewhat they have to travel a long way to have their day-to-day life things. The second point I have given you all example line in the poem, and often dodging snipers on the way. That means their lives are filled with struggle and uncertainty. Even if we can't predict they will live or die, because everywhere is risk. They are at constant risk from falling bombs and snipers. Now let's move to the next slide. In this slide, I have given you the third point regarding the summary. Despite these terrors, love blooms at night, because everyone are working here and there in the city. As the fourth point, I have given you some examples line using the poem. No thoughts guide them, but they don't collide, except as one of the flirtatious plies. When a girl's dark shape is fancied by a boy's, then the tender radar of the tone of voice shows by its signals she approves his choice. That means there is no definition to their forms. And boys and girls can collide and come to know one another and their love blooms despite the voice going. They can know each other, but there are no thoughts. Then, as the fifth point I have given y'all, the symbols of light and darkness alternate in the bright lights of Sarajevo. Sometimes the light represents us hope. That means they match a lighter or a cigarette, leaving the Sarajevo star-filled evening sky. Ideally bright and clear for the bomber side. That means here they have used the light to represent hope. Some hope is in everyone's heart. Darkness works in the same way. They are able to hide within it, but it has also consumed their world. Here, dark represents the danger and the light represents the hope. Now we will move to the last point regarding the summary in the next slide. In this slide, I have given you all 3 more points regarding the summary of the poem. The first one is about if there is no lights in the city, but the people are walking here and there. In until streets, you can't distinguish who, because without lights, they are walking here and there. As for the fourth point I have given y'all, there is no definition to their forms. That means no thoughts guide them, but they don't collide, except as one of the flirtatious plies. When a girl's dark shape is fancied by a boy's, then the tender radar of the tone of voice shows by its signals she approves his choice. That means the boys and girls can collide and come to know one another, and their love blooms despite this voice going. Their love blooms. The only hope is love in this poem. That represent the light. The symbols of light and darkness alternate in the bright lights of Sarajevo. Sometimes the light represents hope and the dark represents the danger. Leaving the Sarajevo star-filled evening sky, ideally bright and clear for the bomber's side. Can you see here I have given y'all dark represents danger and light represents hope. Now we will move to the last point in the next slide regarding the summary of the poem. Here I have given you the last point regarding the summary of the poem. The only light is love. That means the only hope is love in this poem. Because the girl and the boy is sharing one coffee in a candlelit cafe. In this slide, I am going to explain you about the language devices which are used in this poem by the poet. One is imagery. As example, I have given you walking, street, shelf destroyed. And more than that, he has used many imageries as dark boy, dark girl. And here I have given you another language device called juxtaposition. Juxtaposition means the fact of two things being seen or placed close together with contrasting effect. Juxtaposition gives a contrasting effect. But tonight in Sarajevo, that's just not the case. Here the poet differentiates the normal routing and the routing during the war. And after that, he has used many choice of words in this poem. These 3 are the main language devices which are used by the poet in this poem. Now, my dear children, let's move to a Quizlet. You should have noticed that this poem consists of 45 lines. Again, carefully read the poem and try to answer these questions in this slide and the next slide. And in the 12th slide, I have provided you the answers for the Quizlet. Then you can compare your answers with the answers which I have given to y'all in slide number 12. Dear students, again I have given to y'all an exercise based on the same lesson. The 11 words below are taken from the poem you just read. Sort them into two lists depending on whether you think they are associated with light or darkness. Here I have given you 11 words. Then you have to divide them under light or darkness. After filling the table, you can compare your own answers with the answers which I have given to you in the next slide. My dear children, now turn to page number 244 and try to fill this table by your own. After that, you can check your answers in the next slide which I have given to you. Language effect. Throughout the poem, vocabulary is used to create a clear picture in reader's mind. And this is a first-person narration poem. Under subject vocabulary, what is a paradox? Paradox means in which a statement appears to contradict itself. I have given some examples to you all. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. In this exercise, I have given to you all which of the following techniques are used in the poem. You have to identify which techniques are used in the poem, and you can underline the techniques which are used in the poem, and in the next slide I have given to you all the answers. Then you can compare your answers after writing. Then in this exercise, you have to fill this table based on the setting and the events of the poem. It is in page number 244. You can fill this table on your own. After that, you can check your answers with the next slide which I have given to you. Okay, my dear children. Now we have come to the end of the lesson. Here I have given you a small homework. Please try to answer to this question. The question is, how does the writer use contrast to convey his message in the poem? Therefore, my dear children, please listen to the presentation carefully and try to answer the question. Thank you for listening my presentation. Goodbye.